Welcome to another interview in our FM Expert series. Today I'm joined by David Sharp. Hi, David.
Hello, Beth.
Good to see you. David is the founder and CEO of International Workplace. And David, you're going to talk to us about how we can realise our potential. You've got some ideas for us.
Yes, I have. Yeah. So I was musing when we were speaking earlier just about back in the day, I think it was about 7 or 8 years ago, having organised a BIFM special interest group session on which was for winners of the BIFM award for Leader of the Year, or Team Leader of the Year, I think it was. And yeah, it was a really interesting session to have. I think we had 10 of the previous 13 winners in the room with us. We took the opportunity to have a bit of light-hearted session with them to ask the question, what makes someone successful? You know, what did they have in common? And the question, you know, what's the DNA of a successful facilities manager? And so from there, that seed really stuck in my mind, having been involved in kind of learning and development in the FM sector for years. And yeah, some of the common themes that came out from that, in fact, communication skills, soft skills, really important. We were looking at things, whether being an introvert or an extrovert mattered, and it made absolutely no difference. So advice I'd give to someone is work on your soft skills, definitely. The things that people often don't value, things like communication skills, being task driven, you know, some of the obvious things like delivering on your promises, you know, doing what you say you'll do. But I think there is a big emphasis in FM on you know, hard knowledge, and I think actually soft skills are just as, if not more important. So if I were entering the industry now, or you know, looking to kind of move on in the industry, I'd be looking to develop my soft skills, definitely.
Do you not think, I mean, I've seen various studies where they talk about the fact that the thing that with all the data, with all the tech, with all the robots that are coming, the thing that's going to differentiate us is the soft skills. And that's what, you know, there's been various surveys of global CEOs who say they're desperate for people with really good soft skills. But one of the things I think is an issue on your CV is that sometimes sounds like a bit of a filler, doesn't it? Some advertising some of your soft skills when all the jobs are saying you need this qualification, you need this level of, you know, tech knowledge. It's a difficult thing. So it's really encouraging hearing you say that, actually. Yeah,
and I think the way people learn is changing as well. You know, digital learning is something I've been very into for a long time, in data. I'm very interested in data. And again, we were just chatting earlier about GDPR, and I think we had a bit of a connection problem, didn't we? And I wasn't sure if it was the computer that actually decided it didn't want me to talk about GDPR or you. But you know, this idea about how important it is to look at data in a granular way. And I think the way people learn now is they want to learn in like 5-minute segments here and there, and they want to gather their kind of specialist skills and knowledge and competence together in that way. And so even if you look at people like IWFM, or if you look at NEBOSH or IOSH that we teach, they're much broader now than just the hard skills of health and safety. Even an IOSH course, a lot of it's about communication and how you communicate what you've learned to people. So I do think those things, the way people learn is changing, and you could get a lot more credit now for the soft skills that you pick up. Yeah, they're important.
Which, I mean, is encouraging.
Yeah, and you know, one of the other things I would say, it's been a privilege for me to be involved as an IWFM judge for 6 of the last 7 years, and through the Pattern Makers, which is a London livery company. I've been a judge of the Young Facilities Manager of the Year award there as well. So we've seen in both areas, we've seen a lot of young talent coming through, and the people who inevitably, the people who progress, the people who do best are the ones, the first thing they do is they put themselves up for stuff. So and it's not just about blind confidence. Everybody's nervous, you know, but there are people who actually say yes to things and put themselves forward. So I would also say to people, first thing, more than anything else, don't sit back and think you're the sort of person who can't do it. I mean, we've all done it. You should, you know, have the confidence to put yourself forward and recognize everyone feels just as nervous as you do, you know. So I definitely say that, say yes to things, put yourself up for it, and work on your your communication skills, and influencing skills. It's those kind of skills, I think, yeah, really valuable.
I remember you saying, actually, when we were on a judging panel together, that it's all very well saying put yourself up for things, but I think you then put your organisation up for something, and we're slightly nervous about it because we want to put ourselves up for things we're going to win. I'm not sure if you did win on, or if you, I think you were highly commended, but that's the point, isn't it? You've got to show up, because everyone is in the same boat, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think it's about differentiating between sort of winning and losing. And, you know, I'm one of those people. In the past, I've talked about failure. I don't mind the word failure. I'm not one of those people who said we must ban using it, but there isn't really such thing as failure. There's just winning and not winning. You know, there's people always say that, you know, it's the winning and learning, isn't it? But I've always, you know, if there's one thread that's run through my whole life, I started life as a publisher. It's about putting knowledge in people's hands, trying to disseminate knowledge and learning. And the best lessons, if you take them, are the ones where you don't win. You know, the reason I like being involved in entering things and pushing things is because as long as you're willing to kind of accept that you'll learn from it, then there is no losing, is there, if you're learning? You know.
And you can't be hung up on the winning because there's only one winner, isn't there?
Exactly, yeah. We had a great, once somebody I interviewed a couple of years ago came and sort of said, you know, when you get to the end of a job interview and he said, you know, just, have you got any questions? He said, just one question, he said. And he looked at the you know, the International Workplace kind of list of awards and finalists. He said, when are you actually going to win anything? Because we'd been like shortlisted and finalists and whatever. And it was the cheekiest question. And he didn't endear himself, but I mean, we had to chuckle. And of course we have won things, but I mean, it just made me laugh how people see you, you know. And
I think that's a really important point, isn't it?
You know, you've got to be up for it. I think if you're not up for it, then you're closing yourself off to opportunities, and that is, no one can afford to do that. None of us can, whether you're an organization or whether you're an individual. You know, you really need to give yourself the best opportunity, and the first thing there is just to turn up. Yeah.
And it's interesting because you look at, you know, this series of interviews is about FM experts. That's people who've been in FM for, you know, a number of years or in or around FM. And one of the questions I haven't asked, but had I asked everyone, you know, how many knocks did you have before you got to where you've got to today? Pretty much everyone I've spoken to would have said, oh my God, then this happened, and then I lost that job, and then I didn't get the one I really wanted here. And that's the point, isn't it? It's the journey. You know, I introduced you with the subject of realizing your potential, and that's what it's all about, isn't it?
It is, and actually, it wasn't a point I'd intended to make at the beginning when I was thinking about talking to you today, but resilience is related to this, and I know resilience is highly valued now. But yeah, you've still got to be there, haven't you? You've got to be there to learn. You know, so for our company this year, it's 25 years since founding it, and I'm not the sort of person, if you'd said back in 1995, would you see yourself, etc. I think I'd worked in a few places for 18 months. I mean, I got 3 employers before International Workplace, and but it's about just being resilient and taking the knocks. And again, that's another, it's a hard skill in this sense, isn't it? But it's another soft skill. It's about mindset. You know, I think what I've also learned over time is, you know, people who win have got a winning mindset. You know, it's so little. I know, you know, outside of the kind of workplace, I do a lot of kind of running, swimming, cycling type things, and that's just about mindset as well. It's just about having a determined mindset, not to let anything get in the way of your ultimate objective. I actually think I've always been lucky in knowing what my objective was, what I wanted it to be. I think a lot of people probably don't naturally have that. So if you can know what your objective is, what is it that you really want? And that isn't just about what job you've got. It might be outside of work, but if you don't know it, you can't work towards it. You come across that a lot in people as well. Yeah,
and I think the mindset thing, I mean, we were talking before we started recording about mindset and how, you know, we can be driven incredibly in one area and another area is important, yet we can't seem to find the motivation. In our last minute or so, because you are somebody who, and people watching this mightn't know, but David, just tell us some of the challenges you've taken over the last, say, 5 years, because I've always been hugely impressed, but other people may not know. So give me a couple.
That's kind of you to say so. So I will gladly, and I love it when people are impressed because they don't see me. You know, this is another great trick, really, because they don't see me coming nearly last. They just see the medal at the end of it. So I took on an Iron. I mean, I'd never done a triathlon at all, and I took an Ironman on, and maybe that wasn't very sensible. But again, I would argue, being sensible is not always a good choice in life.
Life's too short for being sensible.
And so I took on an Ironman South Africa and managed to finish that in 14 hours and 55 minutes. So that was, what was that, 180 kilometer bike ride. So it was a 4.2 kilometer swim, 180 kilometers on the bike, and then a marathon at the end of it. So 42K to finish. So I've done that. I've done the Comrades, the world's oldest ultra marathon, which is 90 kilometers, 88 kilometers. What's that, sort of 56 miles. I've done that twice. That's a fair height. Each year it goes in a different direction. So that's about Ben Nevis, 1.25 times the height of Ben Nevis to cover in under 12 hours.
Incredible.
So I've done a few things like that, and I do them. I mean, I'm not a super fit person. I didn't do any physical activity, at all, until my mid-40s. I mean, I really was very lazy.
Yeah.
But again, for me, it's about the mindset. That's about being resilient.
So give us a nice kind of wrap up to our session. We're talking about realizing our potential. We've probably gone off in a direction you probably didn't think we were going to, but I think the lessons we learned from this, we can apply to anything. So as somebody who wasn't fit, but who has done all of these incredible challenges, and it doesn't matter what time you finish, and you finished and you did them and you signed up for them and you trained for them.
Yeah.
How do you get your mindset to a point that you can take on some of these things?
Yeah, I can actually tie all of this together, I think, because there is a common thread running through it all, which is about, whether it's a marathon journey or an Ironman journey or a learning journey, we're all learning, whether it's a career, it's a pathway that we're all on. And what I was going to talk to you more about was about data but it doesn't matter because it's all the same thing. You've got to get independent, kind of objective performance data as to how you're doing. So if you're sort of younger, starting out in your career in FM, listen to what people have got to say to you, ask them for their opinions, try and get as objective a view as you can about how you're doing, and set little targets along the way. Because you need to know before you go out there on a marathon course, you need to already know you can finish that. I never have started an event I didn't know, and I'm not being arrogant here. You will do you won't do it. You have to know that you've already finished it. And for me, it was about revealing the finish. It was never being at the start of a line where will I finish, won't I finish? I already knew I'd finished before I'd started. And you do that by just getting lots and lots of data. And if you apply the analogy to learning and organizational and individual performance, that's about measuring your data, I think.
Oh, do you know what? I actually feel very motivated talking to you. Thank you for that. And I hope people will have the same response as me listening to you, because you've actually covered a huge amount of very, very useful content in what has been a meandering conversation. But actually, like you say, there's been a seam through it, and that seam is like you say, about resilience and about realizing our potential. And
continuous learning. We're all learning. You're never too old to learn. You're equally never too young to learn, but you've got to give yourself the chance, definitely. Yeah,
love that. David, I'm going to say a big thank you and good luck in your next challenge. No doubt you've got something up your sleeve, and we will speak soon. Take care. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks, Beth. Cheers. Bye.